Welcome back, everybody, here to the Dota 2 International Qualifiers. We are doing China Sind, and we're almost in the last series of the day. Almost.
Yep.
We have game number 2 now of EHOME going up against EP.
Yeah, that last game was pretty close.
Yeah.
I think EP showed some pretty good. They showed some strength for sure. I think mainly their early game seemed pretty solid. I wasn't completely sold on their laning decisions, but their the way they combined their skills, the way they moved was pretty good. Like better than most teams we've seen so far today.
Oh, most definitely.
And well, EHOME did pull out the win, but they had to fight for it, and I think it was more like it was a win on experience more than anything. I don't feel like they individually outplayed the EP players, but as a squad, they made some better decisions in the mid game with their movements.
It really felt like the laning phase was like, actually, I think the laning phase, I want to apply it down, is like one of the most balanced. Like while the decisions might have been a little bit like unusual, like who goes where and kind of stuff, they were still finding a lot of their CS. They were still finding like the initial rotations as well were very, very balanced. And it wasn't until that mid game where everything slowed down that like you could see the inexperience kicking in, knowing like what is the right decision to make at this point when we're at this point that still results in us winning, because that was the big thing. Like, they needed to win one fight and then their team could push and win. Like, that was their goal. That was the plan. And then they got to a point where like when they also called GG the second they lost that bottom fight, and they got the heroes picked off, that it's like, okay, this is over. It was the jump and it was the ROTK play. Like that was hard for them. Now they're going to be really tested looking at this draft, because their laning phase just got 100 times more difficult because the Undying gets through the pool.
Yeah, they're playing into Gyro Undying with a first pick Shadow Fiend. I feel like we've seen this twice today, and the Shadow Fiend team's just lost. Like
that was also because the SF, I think, got outlaned because they kept picking up something like a Viper in the mid. So the SF didn't find farm, didn't find space inside of his own jungle, and didn't have his other lanes coming to his aid.
If they counterpick the Shadow Fiend now, they have a really good draft. EHOME. There's many heroes that beat Shadow Fiend in lane. Quap is one of them. She's banned at least for EP. You mentioned Viper. Hero like Razor can actually do it if they feel like running something like that. Lina was another hero that could have beat him. What else are we looking at? That's really good. Hero like Lone Druid, but no one really plays that right now.
There was actually one team in the Chinese qualifier that actually plays Lone Druid. Only one. I think it was Wings, maybe.
Okay. Did they win?
I don't know. They haven't played it here. Unless they play it in the last series, which we weren't following.
I think they might have played on the other stream.
I just know there was...
No, they're not playing. Yeah. They played when Vici Gaming Potential and HGT played.
There was just one team which I know likes to play Lone Druid. Okay. I don't know if they've actually played it during the qualifier, though.
Oh, yeah. I think Wings destroyed Tongfu. I'm pretty sure they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I remember seeing it came in from the stats man. They were hit by like 20
Which
kills.
Tongfu? Is old boys?
Regular Tongfu.
Regular Tongfu. Oh, that's right, because they're not in the old boys group. That's the other group.
Yes, and I don't know which one.
Actually, I think the old boys is in this
also
group.
In the other one.
Old boys is in this group. Because remember, because there was the debate if EP would actually get in over old boys or not. Yeah, and EP ended up thrashing the old boys. like Dirk was like, yeah, everything was just a stop. Presumably everything which has been on the Yasha stream has been pretty heavy one-sided most of the time. So we should consider ourselves very lucky. Disrupt to pick up from EHOME. Can you give me a team fight? Is what this looks like. And really, really hard to fight into a team fight. I'm questioning the lanes though. Like, what are we doing here? Is this meant to be like an Undying off lane and we actually run him as a solo here? Put him into the hands of ROTK, and then run the Gyro Disruptor in the safe lane?
There are multiple options. This is actually a very open draft from the start. They could run a dual lane off lane Undying +1. They could run a tri-lane if they want with Undying Disruptor +1. If Undying is a core, they can still pick a support. Ultimately, I think the Disruptor Undying as a lane combo is actually pretty good when Disruptor hits level 3. You can just you Thunderstrike someone, you drop the Tombstone, and then when they start to run away, you glimpse them back next to the Tombstone. Then they're screwed. So they could be able to pull something like that off. And then when it comes to mid-game team fights, they have really, really good synergy as well. Like if the enemy team tries to destroy the Tombstone, they generally cluster a bit together. You can get a Static Storm. If they don't, then it's great. The Tombstone doesn't get destroyed.
Yep.
And once again, well, Glimpse is just an incredible ability. Also good synergy with Gyro. Keeping them in the place for the call down is good. Here comes the Rubik again for EP. And last game for me, the least impactful hero of the game out of all 10 heroes by quite a margin, actually.
Yeah. But he's got some nice things. Like, again, you see the combo with the Rubik as well as the follow-up stunner, which is Lina in this case. But there's some easier things for him to steal, which he doesn't have to be in a front position to grab. Like, that's that I think is the critical thing for him here. Okay, well that answers my question about what laning we're going to get in a way. You're running a Dazzle and a Disruptor. This is meant to be like almost dual off lanes with like a dual off lane with the Dazzle and the Undying. Well, that's the way I'm reading.
Yeah, didn't they have like this exact same draft in a game earlier today? I feel like I've seen these picks.
It feels like I'm seeing a nod
these
from
exact
LD.
4 heroes.
Yeah,
I think. And yeah, what they did do was Dazzled, Undying off lane, then safe lane was Disruptor, Gyro, and then mid lane they had
whatever.
Viper, I think.
Viper.
Yeah, so what's really nice about the Disruptor Gyro lane as well is, it's just very logical. Gyro can force the enemy to move. If you can pull them back with Glimpse, they're dead. Like, you can get away one time, but the second time you die to Rocket Barrage. That's just how it is.
And you're running 3 heroes with no escape mechanisms.
Yep, so far.
Like, what's the SF going to do? He has to trigger BKB, but Rubik and Lena won't be so lucky.
Yeah, I was about to say, what hero would be nice for Energy Pacemaker? It would be an offlane Quap, but that is banned by themselves, so that is not good. That could have actually been a really nice pick, but they won't be able to grab that. I think their offlaner needs some escape, like you said. Phoenix is an option they could try to run for. There's really bad heroes at destroying the egg, but if Disruptor is fast, Glimpse can really ruin Phoenix's life as well, so it's tricky. They're going to get the Brew.
Into a Disruptor?
So that's definitely playable, but
it's
you might not have the luxury of using Clap every time. But I don't know if they really need it in some of these team fights. It's a good way of dealing with Undying. Undying will force fights. If you can't respond, you lose towers. If you can respond, then this is the kind of hero you're looking for.
It kind of feels to me now like EHOME can open up what they want to do on their mid lane now. Because I'm assuming that's where Brewmaster will end up. He could be in the offlane.
I think he's safe lane, actually.
You're saying a safe lane? Because I'm also wondering if this is meant to be like a Rubik Lena Brew combo.
Yeah, I think it's a safe lane. They could aggressive tri-lane the Brew. I think they really don't want to do that in this game. It is a possibility, though.
Well, if they don't, then they could just find themselves with a safe lane Brewmaster up against like an Undying and Dazzle, which you're not going to kill. And that's the combination. Like, you can't kill that. The Dazzle... Like, that's the exact combination, because you got Soul Rip, and you got Heal, and you got Shallow Grave, and the Undying will always get up in your face trying to force some kind of reaction. Actually, that was HGT, the way they played the dual lane.
Rubik Lena Brew can kill that lane, but they need to do it right. Like, their opponents in that game played Timbersaw as the safe laner, I believe, in that series. That was Tongfu playing Timbersaw twice on, who was it, on Kabu in that series. I think Brew is going to be more reliable and probably also stronger. So Timber has the Whirling Death going for him, which is great. But the difference is this time around, if they get a Rubik lift into a stun on the Dazzle, he's actually dead. Like, they can try to Grave and buy time perhaps, but I still think he's going to ultimately get run down and killed off. Then the question is, do they trade? Like, if Undying gets to take a good fight on the back of that, maybe it's
you use all your stuns, all your controls, then he just runs after you with Decay, and you can't run away because Tombstone is slowing you down too much.
It's a tricky lane, actually. It's not that straightforward. I think it comes down to outplay more than just a team having a flat advantage in that lane. However, if EHOME run it as a tri-lane, then I think they're screwed. Energy Pacemaker. They actually can't beat that lane. The Disruptor Undying Dazzle lane is deceptively strong. This is not a support duo you generally consider, oh, wow, they're aggressing us with Dazzle Disruptor, what do we do? But with Undying in particular, it's actually really strong. So EHOME are going to last pick TA, which definitely beats Shadow Fiend in lane. It also beats Lena in case it's a mid Lena. That is still a possibility that they might be considering. And against Brew, it's kind of 50-50. It comes a bit down to luck with the Drunken Haze and whether or not the Brew times his laning very well with the Haze as well. So
I do like the TA, though, up against heroes like Lena, depending on your timing for Refraction. And a Weaver is actually the last pick up here.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
Well, they've got no real controls over the Weaver. At the same time,
Disruptor only, right?
Like,
it's pretty good. But she, I don't know.
What gender is Weaver?
I think it's a he. Well, anyway, Weaver.
It's in the lore somewhere, but I know it's actually different to the Warcraft 3 lore, because I think in Warcraft 3 it was actually a female, but in Dota 2 it's actually a male.
Okay.
I've had this debate before, and I've forgotten the answer.
So in that case, he is
glad we established that.
Not that good against Disruptor, but against all the other heroes, he's really good against Undying. It's a good hero for getting in and hitting the Tombstone. You can go in, commit, and you can get out with time lapse, or you can get out with the secondary Shikuchi. Against TA, the Swarm is decent, and against Gyro, it goes both ways with Gyro. Like, if you if you get ahead in the fight and you can run him down, it's great. But if it's an even fight, Gyro can actually bull you out. So it's a little bit of a tricky interaction here. I still think it's a good pick, and I think if they put this one in the safe lane, they might actually have a really good shot at beating that tri lane. I think the Weaver is a lot stronger than the Brew for that lane, and they could run the Brew off lane against Gyro, which is definitely not ideal, but could still be worth it in the end. We're going to see what they do. This is interesting.
We're probably going to have a little bit of lag in this one, considering your game took like 5 hours to load in.
Oh, wow. I'm 5 seconds behind you.
How is that even possible?
All right, it's time-lapsed.
Your game is actually time-lapsed, and you're in the game itself. That shouldn't even be possible. They can't be physically possible.
I actually had 7 seconds of delay inside the game.
Wow. That's a new one.
Or the clock was lagging.
Let's start our first lag fight as RTK going to move to the front lines. It already starts off with the Decay. Only finds one, however. And EP, they don't really want to try and contest this too much. Yeah, it's just too dangerous.
Gyro and Dying are godlike in level 1 fights.
There is one thing I am very concerned about for the EP lineup. You got a Brewmaster, a Weaver, and an SF. They all take time to find items. And I'm concerned that EHOME don't require such a heavy amount of time. Like, the Undying doesn't. Like, he just needs, like, good lane presence. The Gyrocopter, we've proven time and time again that Rocket Barrage doesn't need it. But once he gets level 6, then a lot of, like, Brewmaster and Shadow Fiend aren't really going to do that much at the same time. And Templar Assassin with Refraction, you got all of this bonus damage so early on that controlling her is going to be difficult to impossible. And the roaming ganking from Rubik and Lena, I'm wondering if that's also even possible. Because if the Undying's getting up and you're facing a different lane, then you have to bring support to it. So there may not be kill options for them. It's
very difficult for them to deal with CTY in this mid lane. It's a very bad matchup for Shadow Fiend. It's one of the worst he can get. And they can't really gank the TA either. If any of their supports had some damage over time, then maybe they might actually try on level 1, which is a nice idea. I don't think CTY is going to expect this, and might be the only way they really get away with it. All right, he's backing totally expecting this.
Well, there's also no reason for him to be forward. Like, there's no creep wave for him, like, to soak up any form of damage. So he let it go.
This is really bad news for EP if they waste their first smoke. They're going to rotate top, and this might actually work. I think Dazzle already skilled Shadow Wave, so then there's no Grave. No, he didn't skill yet.
Well, they can start with a Rubik Telekinesis and do a Light Strike Array and fan. Chikuching down, he actually goes to the Shallow Grave. So he's back into safety and saves himself being the first blood. And there's no tick damage from anyone on EP, so he's fine.
That smoke still has value, then. Like, they force him to skill Grave, which is really good for them. If they can put a lot of pressure until he reaches level 2, they can actually bully Undying out of the lane. And a Dazzle with Shallow Grave is, like, he's basically a hero that doesn't have a skill right now. The cooldown on that is so ridiculously long, and that's pretty alright. He's swaggering more than usual. Dropping some frames here.
It might almost be worth the disconnect, reconnect kind of thing.
Oh, it's scary. You might not be able to get back in.
Yeah, that's true. Like, that happened to you.
I got back in.
Congratulations, Sind. Welcome back to the world of the living. Templar Assassin is almost for the world of the dead at this point. Refraction's the only thing that's keeping her alive at the moment. And where is this bottle? She's not near it yet, and got to keep a distance away from.
Shadow Fiend's actually winning the lane. That's really surprising.
I think she ended up copying 2 raises while the refraction was down. I think that's what actually ended up happening. I say think because I'm not certain.
And this is very uncharacteristic for CTY, who is an exceptional laner, and generally if he has a favorable matchup, he wins against his opponent. But this Shadow Fiend, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't even get help from the one. Like, they helped him block, and then they left him alone.
Yep,
but
that was it.
I guess the threat of the gank might have given him 2 or 3 CS, and that does help a lot, but still, this should not be happening. He's doing a very good job.
Oh, no, CTY. He's hugging the tower closely.
If they kill the courier, this lane is lost.
They won't. The observer ward watched this movement. Actually, on the off lane, it was the wall which was up. There's no glimpse available by the looks of it. It was just a wall, and yeah, glimpse still on cooldown. Yeah, but they can't lose it because they saw the Rubik pick up a double damage rune and walk to where he is. So this courier is going to go the very, very scenic route through the Radiant jungle. Yep.
Oh, they grade it. Okay.
That also
then it's 100% safe.
Yep. As long as it doesn't go back straight down the mid lane, which is exactly... Oh, hang on. It was almost going directly back down the lane, and now it's going to be given a bottle as well after using his movement speed to get out. But Rubik has lost patience, and he's left.
This is going to take a while before he gets this bottle back. That's a good 30 seconds. He probably has to wait for that, so...
But he needed to expand the entire thing. Like, there was no other choice for him. And I think he also knows he's not going to get any runes.
It's really nice to see how Old Chicken plays this matchup. This is really how you want to play against TA as a longer range hero. A lot of the time you will see Shadow Fiend players against TA just raise farm, try to get whatever CS you can. But the way you take control of the lane is just you consider refraction non-existent. Like, you just play against her like she's a melee hero and you just want to hit her all the time to harass her out of lane. And ultimately you're going to break refraction and then you raise. And if you get, like you said, that he caught him off guard with a couple of raises earlier, you can suddenly take control of the lane. And most experienced TA players don't let it happen, but everyone is obviously can make mistakes in the lane, and he is really just forcing them out of CTY. This is impressive.
I'll ask the question. I saw something quickly as we had the hero levels up. Why is this Rubik still level 1 4 minutes into the game? Not even level 1. He's 2/3 of a level in. There's nothing coming out from this support at all. And we already pointed out how ineffective Rubik was during the last series. Like, if you're having a Rubik who's not fighting any levels, not fighting any farms, so you got no repositioning ability, and he's meant to be the one that sets up for the lean and not the other way around. Oh, they're going to glimpse back the Brewmaster into the Rocket Barrage. Heavy amount of damage. An attempt to TP out will be successful.
Yeah, that's not going to happen if they have a point in homing missile, but he has chosen not to skill that. I still think
second point flak.
I think it's a really good value point. That would have easily been first blood there with a homing missile,
but they would have had to start with homing missile because the homing missile still takes longer.
Yeah, but he got glimpsed back, right? So he would have basically been glimpsed into the missile. So as long as he just throws it at some point, then should have been an easy kill. But yeah, interesting to see. Well, it's standard. I just feel like a lot of the times players just skip the homing missile without like that extra value point in flak cannon. How much does it really do right now? Is the question.
Well, for the moment, Rubik is still just babysitting now this Brewmaster in mid. Like, level 2 Joy, ROTK, he's low, very, very low on mana. They got a chance here. Light Strike Array is going to connect, and that's actually going to be first blood right there. And, well, what a big one to have it on too. The Weaver, the one hero, I was a little bit worried he was going to have a bad transition into his next item levels.
I like how the animation of his death was he just disappeared. Like, I think it didn't even draw his death animation. He just
all of a sudden, poof.
Yeah. Oh well. Yep.
No. Well, maybe we are on the Chinese platform now, so we don't have like the blood pool anymore. The censorship is real.
Well, this is going to be a good first blood for EP. Who was involved in that kill? It was Lina, no Rubik.
It's going to be good for him. Actually, no, it's not. Well, maybe it is. He took a lot of damage after that.
It was 10 sticks.
Yeah.
But the Rubik wasn't involved in that kill. So Lina got some decent experience, but Rubik will need some time to catch up. And they're giving him a bit of time in mid while Shadow Fiend jungles, which I think is a really good decision. He's now level 3 on Rubik, which is okay. It's still pretty low, but considering that no ganks have happened for him, that's it's the way to go. He's going to leech some XP here.
We're back in the same positions we were in game number 1. Like, EP, they're getting the upper hand slightly in all the lanes. Like the game isn't by any stretch of the imagination won or completely imbalanced the way of EP, but they definitely have some extra momentum on every single core hero.
Especially that mid lane. I've talked about it quite a bit, but you usually see these CS reversed, and then at this point Shadow Fiend starts being able to take over by going jungle, but his early laning stage was so good that he's actually 15 CS ahead against a TA here in the mid lane at the start, which is
They're about to have a crack at him in the mid.
Oh yeah, that's the problem of Shadow Fiend though. You can be pretty far ahead on CS, but you're still fragile as shit, so goodbye.
Rocket Barrage does the work, and Brewmaster, he can't add anything to this fight. Lina was on her way in too.
Interesting, he had Requiem of Souls. What level is he?
Realize they used cooldown for that mid fight too.
That's pretty unusual, right? Generally max the first 2 skills first. He was skilled Requiem on level 8. I guess he just wanted to. Oh, I think he skilled it before the gank down. I'm not sure though. Because if he did, he should have actually tried to cast it. I think. Yeah, he had a point in Requiem. Yeah, they have no stuns coming into that gank. I think that would have been worth a shot. Or maybe that glimpse.
No, it was the Dazzle moving in with the gyro and the TA.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, so he could have probably just got off a Requiem.
Unless he was worried there was like a homing missile behind him, but
I should be able to see that.
Well, so he hasn't used homing missile at all yet. So.
Well, did he skill it? No,
I
he still didn't. But he obviously doesn't know that.
Yeah, but he did commit call down to that mid fight. Like that was like he wasn't getting away.
No. It's understandable that he tries though, but in hindsight, Rick would have probably done something there. Like not that much, but anyway, this bottom tier 1 will now be pushed by EHOME, and Shadowfiend looking to trade a little bit here in the mid lane. It's going to get forced away by RRTK as well as the Dazzle.
SF just turns an RRTK. I just saw him drop a little bit of burst life there. But it's all slight distraction. Like okay, RRTK moves into the mid. That's keeping him off the top lane, so there's not an easy feat of a death. While on bottom lane, they dive quite heavily in behind this tier 1 tower. Now they do actually take it out, chasing after the Brewmaster, killing off in the tree line.
And this gank mid could go horribly wrong if they mistime it now with the Rubik Lean. I think they actually gave up and rotated top. Static Storm was expended for that kill bottom. I saw Brewmaster was silenced, but there was no animation. But at least he had the little silenced face. So, there's the kill message. Nice.
We're playing guesstimation here. RTK getting picked up, thrown down. He did get the tombstone off as I'm hearing massive ass of TPs in my ears. Like every single TP has just started in the world. They're calling in reinforcements. So we'll DC out of this on a re-see back in. I'm fairly certain because this is completely unwatchable, and we'll see if we can find a better connection.
They got Undying. All right, trade.
And they got Lena and Rubik in return.
2 for 1.
Yeah.
They can deny the tower too. This is pretty good for EHOME.
Yeah, they're all left.
That was a really good fight by the Lena though.
How do you...
I have a pretty good odds of being right. Like, it could be. I should maybe call the Radiant Hero because they kind of won the fight. All right.
We're gonna disconnect out and then reconnect back in again. I'm fairly certain that's what's happening when we come back onto camera. But in our crystal ball of knowing what happened during the last fight, it was 2-1 in favor of EHOME.
They also denied the tower with Gyro. They're looking to push the tier 1 top here. EHOME, they force out a glyph.
You can see the game down there. Just down there. I'm seeing the game.
And all right, looks like EP will be able to force them away from this tier 1 top. So they hold their tower, or they denied their tower. They got 2 kills and put some pressure, forced a rotation, forced out the glyph from EP. So pretty good trade for EHOME, especially considering that, well, they're actually ahead on gold. What the? I thought they were going to be behind. Yeah, EHOME are ahead on gold. I thought they were actually behind because of Shadowfiends and Weaver's farms, but and now they do get the tower. They forced it down with the tombstone. Old Chicken is a dead chicken. And lag.
God.
Pretty laggy. Lanham is getting bugged. He might live. He's going to live. Gyro. Oh, never mind. That was the kill from 10 seconds ago. It reported.
Can you go do like Dota Radio?
Gyro killed Shadowfiend.
There you go. Dota Radio. Come on.
Dota Radio is not supposed to lag too. That's kind of...
That's when you make it up. That's a beautiful thing about radio. No one ever sees what you're doing. And let's go back into the game and we can see it.
Oh, that looks pretty smooth.
Yeah. And
no.
There goes your Dazzle.
Yep. Fan got him.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 and 3. EHOME did get the top tower. They forced it down with the tombstone. That means there's a new glyph available for EP now because it was a tier 1. Brew is very close to Blink. He's actually going to get it now. He needs this one last CS for that. That's
a big timing for EP.
That's a very big important item here. They probably want to look for fights right away because they should have an idea that both Gyro and Tia are getting really good farm at this point.
Yeah, with the mech as well from Chicken. Yeah, that's a great combo.
This is the best timing. They're actually a lot stronger, I think, than EHOME for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and they should take advantage of it.
Are they still really that much stronger? Because if you get the call down off and you've got a level 4 tombstone.
No, if they tank everything, then no. But if they position well, if they don't get caught by Disruptor ult by too many heroes, and
you mean like this kind of moment when you're 100 gold away from getting? Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay, there's 2 Rays to do the job. If he TP's out of this one, it's not going to be possible. They lose the Disruptor in the meantime in mid as Gyrocopter trying to escape out. He's got the Soul Rip to help out as well as the Undying Tombstone, but it's just not enough. That Blink Dagger and Brewmaster split looks like it was just put to very, very good use in mid. And they leveled up at 6-6 and EP. This time they get the better trade.
And Rubik was involved, so he's level 5. Yeah, that's a 1,500 gold swing plus pretty much. Well, I guess they're not getting the tower, so that's still a really good trade for them.
It's not bad. The downside is, though, like you just revealed your Blink Dagger. You knew you're going to get something when you did that, or you should be getting something when you do that, and then your mech gets delayed. So the
He's got it now.
The SF is... Oh, wait, he actually purchased it before death? Oh, because he would have got the kill and
he
then
got the kill on
purchased
Disruptor.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So he's got that. I think they want to wait with sieging again until they have the next Brew ult. But they're okay as far as farming goes. Like, Weaver and Shadow Fiend, especially Weaver, actually scales really well.
I love, too, the fact of Weaver's build here. Like, we're not seeing a Lincoln Sphere build in this game up against EHOME. Like, it looks like we're looking more at a BKB or potentially Desolator build, which, personally, I'm a massive fan of, because I feel like Lincoln just takes too long to get up.
Yeah, and the new Deso is really good and really cheap. It's a great item for a hero like Weaver now. It used to be decent already, but now it's just so good.
I don't know if you can go straight Deso, though.
I think he can. I actually think it's the best item. I think he's making a mistake if he gets BKB. Like, I get the idea you want to counter maybe the Static Storm and maybe the Calldown or whatever,
yep.
But he needs to play from ahead. Like, if he gets the Desolator, he becomes a really big threat in the fights. So if they don't go on the Weaver, if, like, Brewmaster's going to cause some chaos, right? He's going to stun a target and Cyclone another one. And they have to go on the Shadow Fiend, because else he's going to get a good Requiem off and the mech. He's the mech carrier. They want to try to burst him down. So if that creates any sort of space for the Weaver, he is going to shred their supports in 3 hits each.
So you build to win, not build to keep even.
Yeah. I was considering whether Fan would go for the stats build, which is pretty similar to the Burning build on AM, where you basically get 1 in Swarm just for the vision and for the annoyment factor in the fights, and you get 1 in Geminate, so you can get a burst in the opener, and then you max Shikuchi in stats, so you can tank up against all the abilities. And I think that's actually more often than not the best build, but in this game, he doesn't need the tankiness from the stats because there's so few counters. So he can go for the really high-impact Weaver build, where he goes all points into his actual skills and a Deso, and it's actually one of the scariest heroes at like 18 minutes into the game. Sick mobility, hits super hard with the double attacks as well. He's scary. Like, look at this Dazzle. He's got 700 health. What's Weaver's damage going to be with a Deso? He's going to have, like, 160 plus -7 armor. So he's going to... Dazzle has 3 armor. So he's going to hit for, like, 200 per attack. It's a Geminate attack and 2 more hits, and he's dead. That's scary.
They're going to battle again. The Tombstone's going to be dropped. A very quick jump down. The Disruptor ulti, though, stops the Brewmaster from getting the split off. And that's the big one. EP, now they're going to get themselves out of here. The ulti flying out from Whole Chicken, but how long is he going to live after it? Not long, that is. He'll still have his death ulti, but Fan running away from here as quick as he can. Lina with a Laguna Blade cannot even finish off the Disruptor. So it's 3 heroes for the price of nothing. And a Courier with the Mithril Hammer, which belongs to the Weaver. Also just sitting in the trees on a perch.
Standing there. Oh, wow.
It was just trying to get a very good camera view.
That's a huge play from DDC, though. If he doesn't stop that split, they get destroyed in that fight.
Yep.
The Tombstone got removed instantly by the Weaver and the Shadow Fiend. It was placed in a pretty poor position from RTK for the way that fight was
very
developing.
forward, but it almost felt like EP stopped to take care of that, so they couldn't get down to help anybody.
But the
Brew was so deep anyway.
Yeah. I think, without seeing it on camera there, I think he wanted to blink clap split, and that's one of those situations where you just blink split. Like, Disruptor's chance of counterplaying that is very, very low, but that extra 3/4 of a second or whatever it is it takes to clap first, it allows them to counterplay. And
but Disruptor saw it coming too. Like, you're running at the tier 1 tower, and then you blink into the trees.
He could have even just split, maybe, without blinking.
Just split at the front of the tower, and then just start the control as you go in?
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
I think they could have actually done that. There were a couple of plays there from Brew, and this is the most important play in a team fight right now, is whether or not Brew gets a good engage. And it all comes down to, can he engage out of the fog where he gets a blink clap split, or can he at least blink split? Like, I don't even know if he got his clap off. I guess he got his...
in that one he didn't.
He didn't even get his clap off. Then he might not have
the
been
problem
able
is
to split
he blinked in instantly, the Static Storm came up.
Okay, so then he shouldn't even have blinked. But that's easy for us to say, but still. That's
yeah, we can judge from the armchair.
It is very difficult not to clap with Brew. You feel like you're wasting a lot of your potential if you don't. But sometimes you just got to realize that the risk-reward ratio for using a clap first is just not worth it sometimes. And that fight, not even worth it for the blink.
They're going to be so quick with this because they got the Desolator over on the Templar Assassin and a double damage rune as well. Like, this is one very quick Roshan. And EP, like, what are you going to use to scout for this? Like, you can throw out the Scarab Beetles. Okay, the Slave is actually used. And now the Beetles are also coming in.
This might actually be a play if he wants to.
Well, got no way to jump in, however. Or maybe they do. Brewmaster, this time he'll get the split off instantly into it. And TA might be stunned up, but the Brewlings have just been disintegrated by the Templar Assassin. You might have to run away by the Weaver. There's no glimpse for that, but now there is one for the Lina pulled all the way back. The last recovery will still connect, but with the call down, no one can battle from the high ground. And EHOME, momentum is their name. And they, wait, well, Fan?
No detection. They could have maybe glimpsed that. I don't know if he had it off cooldown again. I guess he doesn't. No.
How quick did that Brewmaster die? Did he actually lose both his fire and his earth brewing just through like side blade attack?
I think so. The TA hit for like 300, and yeah, with Deso that's like 350 or maybe 400. I think the Brewlings have like 0 armor, so that was pretty scary. They couldn't really follow through. They went. I think he was a little indecisive there. He went in for the blink split after Roche died. Then you might as well not do it, right? You want to do it to contest the Roche and try to steal the Aegis, or at least get a fight where maybe they kill Roche, but you get a couple kills. But he went in when it was too late. And then, in addition to that, RTK dropped the Tombstone, and his team couldn't follow through. They were like getting zoned out by zombies from below.
Well, here we go again with the Tombstone dropping down, the call down that will give him a lot of space. The Desolator is over on Fan this time around, but the leader! Oh, she has been ravaged by this Templar Assassin. And now they just want to get themselves out of here. They've still got these Beetles on them. So into the meld. Sentry wards are down for the Radiant side, so they know they're not being watched by any other sentries from EP. But they've had enough. They've already done their damage. They just want to get out.
Oh, this is scary. She can actually one-shot Rubik, I think. She might need the right rune. Yeah, she will be able to Meld Strike and then one more attack. He has 2 armor. So, it's like... Oh, he has Refraction stolen right now. So now she can't. But, wow. That is scary. CTY is getting really big again this game. Blink Dagger, Yasha. This is actually an insane inventory for 20 minutes. That's got to be some of the higher farm we've seen on TAs in recent times. The GPM at this point.
We don't see much TA these days, though.
No. Last one I remember was EG at the Summit, and it was a pretty good game for Simel. I think he had a couple of mistakes, but apart from that, it was a solid pick as well. I think it's actually pretty good nowadays, where a lot of teams just focus so much on these spell burst strategies, and if you don't have enough damage over time or some really good instances in one way or the other, then TA tends to run you over a lot.
And if she can keep this momentum, then this game's going to be quite quick. It's not going to be like our 60-minute games from before.
No, definitely not.
Especially with Undying. Like, Undying's picked up not only the mech, but he's also got the Hood of Defiance coming out, which means it's not too far away from getting the full pipe up and running. And on top of that, you've also got a Glimmer Cape, which I believe belongs to the Disruptor.
Yeah.
So... DDC's now rolling in the cache as well.
Glimmer Cape is actually incredibly good against Brewmaster. When you blink split, if he has dust, he can precast it, but apart from that, he needs to have a gem to, you know, in the middle of the fight, he can't just suddenly get detection out while he's in the split. So it's a pretty nice way of dealing with his engage, and it's really good against a hero like Lina as well, who only has Spell Burst. It's great against the Shadow Fiend too at this point. It's just such a high value item for its cost.
They're using SF as such bait, and the wall's going to come up in time with the Undying Tombstone. Templar Assassin's on the way now. The Requiem's already been blown, and RTK, well, he was quite happy about this. Soul ripped himself back up to life. The Weaver, though, is taking the trade-off. So the SF dies, but the Weaver's taking the Tier 2 tower on the bottom lane.
They're going to lose Rax now.
Probably. And the SF doesn't have buyback. He's short by 134 gold. But if he kills off the tower on the bottom lane, he'll have buyback available. So Weaver destroys the tower, and now SF can actually come back up now.
Yeah, they might not get it. They're trying to get through the backdoor protection. They're actually not managing. He keeps trying.
They need more. More.
There we go.
Yep. Well, the creep waves arrive now, so the no more.
Oh, well, he has Aegis, so.
Yep. He's also got another 2 bottle charges up his sleeve, too. And the
you can actually blink kill Rubik right now, I think.
Considering it. Blump, there's one. You're right. Needs a second attack. Yeah. I can't do it. But the Rax, you take it anyway. Weaver's doing damage to that Tier 3 tower on bottom. Almost has it done. But DDC, he's lost vision. Actually, now he'll keep the vision because the glimpses actually gets him too. Drags back into the ultimate with the wall. And now Weaver is one dead Weaver. But it does at least stop the secondary Rax from being taken.
You know what's funny about that play from Weaver? When he gets glimpsed, he gets brought back to where he was 5 seconds ago. So he actually sees where he's going to time-lapse to. And then he time-lapsed. So he basically just time-lapsed exactly where the glimpse would have taken him, which is into the Static Storm. Who would have thought? It's just one of those panic moments. Like, what the hell are you actually going to do? You can't do anything as Weaver against this if you don't have a BKB or Lincolns. And it's kind of funny to see him time-lapse. He basically just made his death a second faster. That's all he accomplished.
The downside of outgoing the Desolator first, but at the same time, he would never have done what he did on that bottom lane if he didn't go the Desolator.
Yeah.
And that was still pretty big.
I still think it was the right item. They just got outplayed,
yeah,
but
agreed.
You should not blame anything on the item decisions. I think every single item they got was the correct one this game.
There was just that. The bottom fight is still going to be that highlight clip we'll come back to. It's just like, what the hell happened here when they jumped in? And then they just lose the 3 heroes. Like, okay, things are going wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong.
They had everything they needed, but they got outplayed. That's basically it.
And then they took the fight directly after the Desolator came up on the Templar Assassin. And then the Brewmaster gets split, but
the Brewmaster had a couple of really questionable decisions in this game. You can also see it on his net worth now. He was the offlaner for their team. He's 2,000 gold ahead of, or behind his counterpart in the Undying on the Radiant side. So something's got to be, like, Undying doesn't farm well. So if you're 2,000 gold behind this hero, Brew is actually a somewhat decent farmer. Then something has definitely gone wrong in your game plan. It's unfortunate because when you're playing a hero like Brewmaster, it's really like if you make those couple of mistakes when you are the absolute key teamfight initiator, it really makes the game snowball in the opponent's favor.
EP are fighting them almost at the height of this weave of Dazzle. So all the armor in the world belongs to CTY as well as ROTK. Like hitting over 25 armor on him, the rocket will come in, but the BKB's protecting Chicken for the moment. But no damage has been done to any of the heroes of EHOME. The only thing which has been lost is all of the mana from Undying. He's got nothing to work with right now.
They'll just arcane him. Use a soul ring, he gets bottled by the TA. They could actually go right now with the pipe. I think the better play is to wait 30 seconds. Go for the next wave, get the tombstone again. This time without Shadow Fiend BKB, he'll also have the soul ring for that. And it should be enough. Man, these...
they're investing any advantage they can give themselves with that Eagle song on the gyro now.
If Brew makes a mistake now, the game's over. Like, he actually can't make a mistake.
Well, he's sitting in the tree line on the side, but it's very unlikely they'll search for him. Like, you might be able to use the weave and then have a look into the trees.
He actually didn't get a point in Drunken Haze. That's kind of surprising. It's really good, this game. Like, even when the TA just starts sieging the tower, you could haze her from the distance and annoy them, but...
Well, there's your jump in.
Nice
Good
precast.
telekinesis, so they can actually stop the Templar Assassin from killing him. Well, okay, no, I take it back. He cannot do that. The Brewmaster jumps in for the split, but RTK is already in ulti form, and just going to absolute town. The Gyro Cup's going to finally hit the deck again, but as he does, there goes your cooldown. Rubik's back into the fight, but the flat cannon's actually killing him off.
Again,
He's going to die in the tree lines. There's your dieback from the Rubik, and yeah, that Brewmaster is just not a happy day for him. It's a triple kill for CTY, and as Old Chicken's about to die, it's going to be an ultra kill for CTY. Potentially a rampage as fans coming back into the fight, but this is a double Raxing and potentially even GG because they can go for more. In fact, there's your blink up, boom! It was the Gyrocopter that took him, so denied on the Ultra, but still, GG. They take out the second set of Rax, and EHOME a 2-0 victory over EP.
Yeah, as expected. I did not expect this game to be this one-sided though after game one. I think if EP played on a comparable level, this would have also gone further, but yeah, they just got rolled.
It just felt really weird, though, because we still, like we're saying, like the game started off the same way. The CS is even. The kill trades was even. And then that fight happened on bottom lane.
Yeah.
And all hell just
Well, it's all going to come
loose.
back to that, basically.
It really is.
Because if that mistake doesn't happen, it's like a 6-kill swing there. I think if he gets the split off, they kill 3. Instead, they die 3 and get nothing. Or, you know, maybe they kill 2, whatever. Like, it's still ridiculous. It's basically the same as getting team wiped when it goes that way, more or less.
Well, let's get the thought of the boys who are watching from the side.
That was impressive.
Yes, it was. I feel like that last game kind of summarized why Brewmaster has fallen out of favor. Synderen just hit the nail on the head where if he's your key initiator and he doesn't get it off, what do you have left? You're just screwed.
I mean, he could have, though. I don't think it was that the Brew was a bad pick. It was just he needed to deliver. And the fight bottom, just excellent individual play by DDC. Dropping the Static Storm, anticipates the blink in. To me, that was probably the defining moment of this game. I think if he gets off the split there, they at least break even, if not straight up win the fight. And then it's a very different game.
Yeah, I like the way the Weaver played that game. It reminded me a lot of the way Burning played Weaver a little bit in Starladder 12 with split pushing and trying to make space around the map.
But I believe it was also in a losing effort as well there.
It was. It was very similar in terms of, like, we're really behind. I'm going to rush a Deso and see if I can split push and maybe make some space.
I feel like I've seen most of the Weaver games I've seen have gone a similar way, where the Weaver does well individually. He farms and he gets the Deso and he split pushes. His team loses to a death ball.
Pretty much, yeah. Unless they make a misstep and you get a lane of barriers.
But he could have actually fought in this game. That's the difference. Like, the counter picks, the picks didn't really counter Weaver that well. So I think he definitely had a shot at having an impact. He just went for the split push because they lost the team fights and he had nothing more to do at that point. He could have easily contributed at minute 15, I think, or 20.
He's a little more reliant on his team being able to like TA can just single-handedly go one-shotting heroes. The Weaver has to chase them quite a bit. They get heals, TP support, some kind of counter initiation. It feels like a carry that excels when the team's doing well, but when the team's not, it's not like a Naga Siren or even to some extent what we saw from the TA. They can just take over by itself.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm curious what you guys think about Energy Pacemaker overall, seeing that series. I mean, we're going to see them coming up next. They'll be playing Newbie Youth. You feeling pretty good? You think they're favorites? Or how do you think they're going to fare as the group stage continues?
They 2-0'd the old boys, right?
Yeah.
It was this team. Yeah, I think they're favorites. They could actually get second in this group, I think. It seems pretty reasonable.
It's one of the teams which I think can keep up with almost any team in the laning phase, and that's always been like that critical thing where like every game becomes a stomp after you've lost your laning phase.
Yeah.
But they always like the drafts aren't too bad. Like I think you said like at the end of game number 1, like the draft was very very solid for game number 1. Game number 2, like
I think it was solid.
Things just went wrong in game number 2 for them, and that's probably where their weakest point is, which is why they probably will get out of the group because they can beat the more mid-game to late-game unstable teams just because of the momentum they gain from the very early stages. But the more experienced teams who are stable right now will still come out on top of them in the mid-game to the late game. I think that's their primary problem.
I mean, the big storyline here is that CTY is stepping up in a massive way for this team.
Yeah.
Like, I go back, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago when he was on the original Vici Gaming. This was before FY became a star, same for Fenrir. CTY was the guy. Nobody really knew much about FY, at least not outside of like the Chinese in-house scene. He was not considered a big player. And CTY did not deliver. He would farm like a madman. Everyone could see his mechanics were exceptional, but his decision-making and his play was a little bit kind of selfish, cocky. It felt like he was basically playing like a pub star. This guy's come a long way. I mean, I don't think I've seen any really like glaring like, oh my God, what are you doing, CTY? Like, you're looking like a rookie here. Like, pretty much every play he's made has been with his team. Good decision making. He is aggressive, but he's aggressive in a very controlled and intelligent way. I feel like we might be seeing the next maybe of the Chinese scene, basically.
It's possible that he is playing in such a controlled way because he has a captain he respects. Yeah. I think it takes, if you have a player, like based on what I've heard, and I can't remember if it was, I think it was Sun Tzu who tweeted at me and said, he's basically, he was known as the, I can't remember if he said like 6-minute player, was like he owned the lane, and that was like where he shines in the lane, and then after that his decision making went against him, and he went too cocky, like you said, and made bad plays. And if he has a captain who can control him in the game and tell him what to do, and he actually listens and cares, and they can play as a team, like you said, his mechanics are incredible. So if he has overcome that one weakness that has been his problem in the past, he is a star player. There's no doubt about it, but you need the right mentality. It's not good enough just being mechanically good.
And it may also, I mean, part of it could just be him feeling more comfortable, and, the other thing is maybe he just trusts his team more now. Like,
or maybe he's matured. Maybe he just got a bit older. And
he is an older player, I believe, right?
I mean,
I think he when he broke through, he was like 16. I think he was really.
He's young. I have it the other way. Okay, yeah.
I think really at most he's like 20 now.
Okay, so he's a younger player.
Yeah. He was very young when he broke through. I think 16 or so. So
that was the team that everyone was jokingly calling like the boy band team.
Oh yeah.
They had like the very like just well constructed shot of the team. Really good lighting. It looks like a promo banner for like the Backstreet Boys of China or something.
Yeah.
But he's come a long way, man. So I'm really excited to see. Obviously, they're not playing against your IG, LGD, Vici Gaming level teams yet, and I'm not saying that he's quite at the level of those teams. But to me, he feels like he's taken a step here today.
Yeah, definitely.
It's enough to get him through the qualifier at least at this rate.
One step at a time.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Baby steps. So let's take a look at our schedule. Let's see what we have coming up next. We're actually getting to the tail end of day number 1 here. We've got one more heat left. For China, that is, because America starts right after. Don't go anywhere. We've got Newbie Youth versus Energy Pacemaker, as I mentioned before. So we haven't seen Newbie Y on this stream. Have they played any games yet today? We can take a look at group standings as well.
They should have played at least one.
They should have, yeah, on the secondary stream. I'm not sure how that worked out for them.
Yeah. If we got the groups, boom.
There we go.
So they actually haven't. They haven't played a game yet.
Okay.
It says they played Tong Fu and Zhou up above.
It's not a full registered thing. So yeah, Newbie Young it's 1-0.
They're mid-match maybe.
Yeah, that might be it. So we might actually have a bit of a delay until our next one. This is surprising because I didn't think any team was meant to play 2 games in a row. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a squad we don't know so much about. Relatively new.
You could say they're young on the scene.
They are, yeah.
Young newbies.
Whoa.
Okay, we're gonna go to a break here.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, guys,
What?
you're mailing it in. What are these? Are we calling them jokes?
No, they're called bad puns, man.
That's their team name. What do you want?
Get me out of here.
Oh, God.
With pleasure.
Okay. Well, with that, we are going to have a break, and there probably will be a little bit of a gap here, though, until they're ready to get this next heat going. So sit tight, folks. Check out the other streams, then come on back to the Sanj, because we've got one more best of 2 coming your way after this.